collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Prime Changer Optimus Prime / Orion Pax from the Transformers 1 line from Hasbro. So these are kind of equivalent to like the deluxe figures that they've done in the past for Earthspark, kind of the same price point and like level of articulation, transformation, things like that. And previously we took a look at the Alpha Trion that they've done for this line. I'm still on the hunt for the other two. There's a Bumblebee and a Sentinel Prime. I still haven't found them yet, but I did find Optimus here. Now it does bill him as both Optimus Prime and Orion Pax. If we take a look here at the top of the box, you can see Orion Pax there. Does look different, I think, like the body, and definitely he doesn't have the face mask and things like that, so I don't really see how this version of the toy is both. I probably would have just said it was Optimus Prime, but I don't know, maybe there's something inside that will make it so that he can be both. I doubt they've included a different head or anything like that, but we'll take a look. Kind of a cool picture over here on the side. Robot mode and vehicle mode. Got the vehicle mode here on the front. Big Transformers 1 logo. Then you have the group shot over here of the four main characters. Got that open packaging. No plastic window back yet. And then over here on the back, we've got the robot mode, the vehicle mode, and then it looks like he comes with a matrix of leadership as well, which is kind of cool. So, going to go ahead and get him out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Optimus Prime / Orion Pax out of the packaging. I'll be honest, I'm probably just going to call him Optimus Prime for the rest of the review. But this is a really nice looking figure, honestly. I feel like it's got a lot of nice paint applications. It really doesn't have anything hollow going on here on the back. I mean, the backpack is a nice compressed size. I think it looks fantastic. The legs are completely enclosed, which is really nice. Now you have these wheels here hanging off the back, but that's not really that big a deal. You have similar wheels kind of up here in the armpit region. The only thing that kind of bothers me is that the forearms are so completely open because you just rotate the hands into the forearms. But that's not really that big a deal. Otherwise, I think he looks really good. I'm actually really impressed with how this turned out. I think the head sculpt looks great. Now, like I said, there's nothing in the box like a different head without the face mask or anything like that, and that's fine. I don't really need anything like that. But the eyes are painted very nicely. All the silver for kind of the head crest and the face looks really sharp. I like the design of the head. The sculpt, I think, looks really good. Some really nice blue paint down here for kind of the window of the vehicle mode. Some nice yellow paint down there. Even get a little bit of metallic silver here for the thighs. Some gunmetal gray down here in the shins. Now, he doesn't have any ankle tilt, which is kind of a bummer. Would be nice if he had some ankle tilt. That's kind of my other only complaint, because that makes sense. So you have the really open forearms, and you have no ankle tilt. Really my only complaints. I think he looks pretty great otherwise. Head has a ball joint. You can look side to side, no problem. Really look up very far because the head has to go all the way back for the transformation. So if for some reason you wanted him to be flying around looking straight ahead, you could absolutely do that. Can't really look down all that much. You can, I was going to say you can kind of tilt side to side, but not really. It's mostly just side to side looking and then straight back for the transformation. You have a ball joint and a hinge. So you have a bunch of hinges here in the shoulder, mostly for the transformation, but if you want to utilize that for the shoulder joint, you can. So there's a hinge right there. And then you have an actual ball joint for the shoulder itself. So you can get a little bit of motion there, about that far. If you don't use the other hinge joint, you can go all the way around, no problem. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees in the elbow. Nothing in the wrists, because again, they just rotate into the forearm. You have a swivel here in the waist. You can kick pretty far forward there with the hip, out to the side, all the way to the back. You have a thigh swivel right above the knee, 90 degrees there in the knee. Like I said, no ankle tilt, and the bottom of the feet are kind of open, but that doesn't really bother me all that much. It's a pretty good looking Prime toy, honestly. I have to say, this is pretty cool. I like this a lot. I love how compressed the backpack is. That looks really streamlined. You know, not having hollow legs. I totally expected hollow legs on the back. That's really nice. I mean, they're hollow inside, but at least they close up, and I think that works really well. He looks good. Now, he does come with two accessories. Of course, he's got the axe, but it's not orange this time, so it's a little different. It's this kind of nice sky blue color, molded in the dark blue plastic, and then all of the blue is painted. And the way it's done, it looks like it's coming out of the palm of his hand, because you can kind of see the fingers wrapped around like the orb of energy. So you just slide this over top of his hand, and then it kind of looks like now that fist is part of his forearm and this is coming out of the palm of his hand. It's kind of a cool effect. I think it works, surprisingly, and I think that's kind of neat. Now, I will say it can be difficult to get this back out of the fist, which I've noticed because of the way these hands are kind of just in there with a pin and ball like a peg hole and a pin. So when you try to get this out, it kind of wants the whole hand to come out of the forearm, which is not great. And it's a fairly snug. There we go. So just a little difficult, something to be aware of there. I'm afraid over time that's going to stretch this out. We'll see how it goes, but and I didn't really even talk about all the kind of gunmetal gray here on the shoulder area, which also looks really sharp. Now, his other accessory is the matrix. So you open up the chest, and then you have to pull out this light gray section as well, which can be a little difficult, but you have to do it for the transformation, so you might as well get used to it. And then there is the matrix inside. And we will pop this out as it goes flying across the room and close this up. It's actually a different matrix. It is not the one that we've had with every Prime in the past 5 years. It is actually different. You can see the paint there. It has a peg hole on this side so you can attach it. But really nice silver paint. A little bit of gold there. That blue all looks really sharp. And because of the way his hands are, the way they fold into the forearms, it's actually pretty easy to get him to hold this. So kind of utilize the ball joint in the shoulder, the like bicep swivel, and then put this in his hands. And then you can kind of bend the hands in a little bit as well, which also helps. And there you go. He can actually hold the matrix with both hands. And I put it in backwards. I don't know why I keep doing that, but in any case, you get the point. He can hold it. Come on. Those hands really like to grip a hold of stuff and then never let it go. There we go. That's the correct way. So, very cool. I think that's really neat that he can actually hold it. I think that works well. Now, I will say, sometimes it doesn't like to stay in here as great as it should. When he's in robot mode, it's not really a problem because when you pop it in here and then fold it closed and fold it closed again, it keeps it in place. But for vehicle mode, you have to leave it like this. And if it's not pegged in carefully enough, it will kind of fall out, especially if you're mid-transformation, because then it kind of hinders things. So we'll leave it in there for now. We'll see how it goes. But I might have to take it out during transformation if it falls out, because sometimes it does that. But otherwise, yeah, this guy's cool. I like him quite a bit. I think he's got good articulation. I think he's got good paint applications. I really like from the back, I think the backpack and the legs look great. My only two complaints, you got the hollow forearms, but honestly, from certain angles, you don't even see that. And you've got no ankle tilt, which honestly, again, he stands pretty well. I don't really have a problem with that. And then here is Alpha Trion that we took a look at the other day. So you can see these two side by side. It's kind of funny, they're the exact same height, but the dimensions of Alpha Trion make him seem kind of larger. He's got bigger shoulder pads and his, forearms and legs. Like, Optimus feels a little shrimpy, whatever term we want to use. Like, it's the exact same size, but I guess just because he's lankier. But I mean, I guess that makes sense for kind of like a story about, someone becoming a hero. It would make sense that he might start out like this is his pre-Captain America serum phase. If that means his Steve Rogers, guy from the neighborhood phase. But either way, I think these look really cool together, and I like this quite a bit. I'm interested in getting the other two from this wave. I've been having fun with these so far. Alright, getting into the transformation is actually pretty cool, and it really compacts the guy down. We're going to start by, of course, folding those hands into the forearms like we've been talking about. We are then going to open up the chest again and flip out this section here. And then just try to really push that matrix in and hope that that stays where that should be. We're going to, you can see these light gray joints here, so you can kind of pop the arms down and just kind of straighten them out for now. As you can see, the two pins for the two big joints there, so just get that out of the way. Then we are going to lift up. We have to push that head back like I talked about. You'll get it to about here. you're going to take a hold of the backpack, and it's actually going to spin 180 degrees. At this point, you're going to take this joint, you can see the rod there, and this is going to come all the way back and sit to about there. And one thing I did notice, you want to make sure that it's really slid all the way, like the mushroom peg that connects the waist and the torso, you want to make sure that that's like down as far as it can, because sometimes just removing it, it'll kind of slide up, and so you just want to make sure, and you can see it right there, you want to just make sure that that's as far down as it can go. And then we'll click this back into place here. Now that we have the space, that will allow us to bring this down. And you might have to move these gray pieces down a little bit further just so that will clear. And then you should be able to push this down and close that up like so. You're going to take the forearms, and then at the bicep swivel, you're going to spin them 180 degrees so that now this hinge is going backwards. So do that again like so, and then you can bend this back. So this section will kind of accordion in on itself. This will come down, this will bend back. Oh, and the other thing I didn't show off, and I should have, you can actually unpeg these, and you can actually hold these as little guns, which I thought was kind of neat. But for the purposes of transformation, you're going to swivel them around 180 degrees. So I did forget to show that off, because when I was looking at them, I didn't even think that they moved. I thought they were just molded in because they kind of sit nice and flush. But you can absolutely pop these off, and he can hold these as weapons. So apologies for missing that. So spin that around, bring this down. This will go like this. Now you can see that there is a big tab right there, and that is going to peg in right there. So this is where it gets a little weird. Now, what I would say before you do all this, and I'll just move the arm out of the way, I find it easier. The directions wait until the last step to open up the legs, but I like to do it now while you still have room, because after you put all the arms in place, there's really not a lot of room to complete this next step. So what I like to do, open this up. This is going to unpeg, and you can see that there is a tab on both sides. So a tab there and a tab there. All you're doing is rotating this around. So it was tabbed into this part. Now it's going to come up here and tab into this part. So you're going to just rotate this around, and then you can close that up. Now we might have to open it up a little bit later, but I just find it's easier to do it now because these pieces have to kind of get in the middle here, and if the legs are pushed together, there's not a lot of room for this to move around. So I just like to do it now to kind of get it out of the way. It might cause a problem later on with lining up some stuff, but we'll come back to that. So now we are going to bring this up and peg this in. There we go. Now there's a little notch if you kind of peg the legs together. And actually there's something else we have to do in a minute. There's storage for this. You can see that there is a peg hole here on the back. You can peg this in, and then you can see that there's a hole there in the axe, and so that will clip around that. So when we peg this in, there's kind of like the tiniest little notch. You can see that there's a tab there, and there's a tiny little notch in the side of the thigh. And then this tab is going to go with the foot. So like I said, I have to open this back up again. And I might even have to open these up ever so slightly just to rock this piece back a little bit. So I will probably take this out. I just wanted to show that off. But pop these back just a bit. So get this in and tab that in. Then you want to make sure that this fits into that little notch. And then it's going to tab that tab slot with that red tab right here. And it can be a little annoying because it almost doesn't feel like there should be room for that to happen because the bolt, like the hip and everything is all right there. But I promise it can happen. And so this is what it'll look like when you're all done. That'll all fit and kind of snap in there like that. So it can be a little difficult. Plus you have to kind of get this in here while you're doing all of that. So it can be a lot. But when you can finally get it all where it's supposed to go, it's very nice. So let me bend this up. This comes up. Move the leg back a little bit. Push this in. Make sure that this fits into the notch on the thigh. Then you can tab this in. Then this will go. Then you can snap these together and close that up. And there we go. So like I said, it is a lot to line up because this has to peg in here. That has to get into the thigh because otherwise it doesn't feel like there's enough room. Because the first time I'm transforming this, it's like, bring the arm back and peg it into the back of the red section. And I'm like, but the hips are in the way. Like, how does that work? And then I realized there's just that tiniest little notch and then that tiniest little tab. Once those are in, then you can use the bicep swivel to bring that in, peg that in. Then the feet peg into the back of the forearms. Then they snap together while also getting the storage for the axe in there. And then snapping these closed. So again, it can be a little finicky. The couple times you do it, you start to get really used to it. But it's a really nice, compact vehicle mode when you're said and done. And it holds together well. Really nice and solid. I think it really works. Yes, I wish these hands were facing the inside. That's my only complaint with this. I wish that these were just solid, light gray. But at the same time, they're right next to the feet, which are the same colors. So you could almost kind of pretend like it's part of that. So it's not the biggest problem. And if you really wanted, you know, you could put these up if you like try to do like smokestacks. It's up to you. Or you can leave them forward if you want to pretend they're just, you know, front mounted weapons and he's firing while he, you know, drives around. That's also possible. Or you can pretend that there's some kind of thruster unit. So you have options there, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, so the little cab section here I think works really well. We didn't even have trouble with the matrix. It stayed in place, so that's fantastic. But it's a cool, compact little vehicle mode. I think this really works. Let me move this down here. It rolls okay. I mean, it's actually rolling better right now than it had been earlier. So sometimes it gets a little stuck, like you can see like right there. But it rolls decently. It's got those wheels on the bottom. I like it. I like it. It's a very basic little vehicle mode, but I think it works. It's very nice and compact. And even in this mode, there's not a lot of hollow sections. Everything still feels really closed up, you know, really nice. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think this figure is really great. If you guys know me at all, you know that I'm really over the whole orange Energon axe. Every release of Prime ever comes with one. It had like 5 to 10 seconds of screen time, but it seems to have followed him around his whole life. So when they included an axe with this at first, I was kind of like, another axe. But at least it's a little different. You know, it's blue instead of orange. And I kind of like the idea of it coming out of the palm of his hand. And I think it's kind of interesting that they sculpted the fingers on there, kind of taking the place of the fist that it's covering up. It's kind of a neat idea, and I kind of really like the way that they did that. So as an accessory, I think that's kind of cool. The other accessory being the Matrix, I think looks really cool. Again, it's not just the exact same Matrix that they've used for like the past 5 years now. It's a new mold, so I do appreciate that. It tucks into the chest pretty nicely. Can get in the way during transformation, but as long as you have it pegged in all the way and it stays put, shouldn't be a problem. Otherwise, you know, like I think the head sculpt's great. The paint applications are good. Articulation's fine. You know, I really like how compact everything feels and the legs aren't hollow. I was totally expecting them to be hollow. The only complaints I have with this, the hollow forearms, which is kind of a bummer, and no ankle tilt. But honestly, I can get over both of those things. I think this is a really fun figure. I don't have the Studio Series version yet, so I'll be interested to do a comparison of those when that comes in. I think that's coming in next week sometime. So I'll definitely be excited to compare the two of them and see how they stack up. Because sometimes, you know, the $20 figure just hits a little better than the Studio Series. You never know. I mean, it's very possible. And I've kind of heard some things about the Studio Series one that maybe it's not the best. But I think this guy is a lot of fun. Really looks good. Accessories are good. Yeah, I think he's fun. For 20 bucks, I feel like you can't go wrong. I'm excited for the other two because I think Alpha Trion and Optimus have both been pretty great so far. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.